hustles. Dude.
It'll move.
Good morning, everybody. I am very excited about today because this is a 1991 Nissan Sentra SE-R that Juan has, I think, expertly built. I think it's about as good looking as this car can get. The stance is right, the tire wheel ratio is right,
Yeah,
sidewall's right. I'm really stoked on this. Thank you for driving up here.
Thank you for having me.
I appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
Quick backstory: Juan built the G20T that I drove about 6 months ago, the Infinity. He is the Nissan and Infinity whisperer who helped him, or helped Ideal Cars find lots of parts and all kinds of things. And if you want to know more about this car, which we're going to get into, check out the wheel well page. That's how Juan sent me his submission. So if you have a modified car, you want me to drive it, you got to send me your wheel well garage. It's basically a combination of like Facebook, your favorite car forum, and Amazon. So you can go there and build a profile page and show your friends your mods and your photos and stuff and not bug your family with it. They also have really good deals on parts. And if you use code TST, you get 15% off of whatever you're buying. So go check that out. All right, you've had this car, you said, for like
15 years now.
15 years.
December 15th, it'll be 15 years.
What made you get one of these?
Well, to be honest with you, I didn't know I wanted one until I had Datsun 510s. I had 2 wagons previously. And then straight out of high school, I quickly knew I wanted more power, and the L16 wasn't enough. 3-speed L16 was the worst, kind of like...
3-speed is not, it's no good.
So I think top speed was like 65 miles per hour on that thing. But then I started looking into more power. I saw K24 swaps, and then I saw SR20 swaps. And back then, we're talking about 2003. SR20 swaps were 15 grand from McKinney Motorsports down in San Diego. I thought one day I'd save up for that. Started looking on the interwebs after they were invented. And then I quickly learned about an SR20 that is front wheel drive. I saw it in a G20. I figured I'd buy a G20. I figured that car was really ugly because I didn't really appreciate it back then. And then one day I just typed in SR20 everywhere I could find on search ads and everything like that.
You're just trying to find out what has an SR20.
Right, and then I typed in SR20 on eBay, and I saw this, and this was for sale. And I accidentally won it because I had no money to buy it at the time, but I won it. Yeah.
That's not a good idea, people.
I mean, when you're 21 and you don't know any better, I mean, you buy without the money you have. So,
and we should explain the SR20 in this car is not the SR20 Turbo that you get you get in 240s in other countries.
It's not the SR20 DET. The one you get is naturally aspirated. It's just the SR20 DE. Comes with a high port 91 through 93, I believe, and then goes into a low port after that. It's just a different intake manifold and a couple other things. But this one I swapped in a SR20 VE from a JDM UKDM Primera with, at this point, 196 horsepower to the wheels.
200 horsepower to the wheels, which is...
If you want to round up.
Let's round up. Like, it's impressive, and it's a good number for a car that weighs 2,500 pounds-ish.
Yeah, if you're the driver, yeah.
If I'm the driver, 2,500 pounds. And, I don't know, what was that, 240 crank? Because when these came out, they were important because they had 140 horsepower.
Right.
They came with a limited slip diff.
Yeah.
They came with 4-wheel discs, and they came with independent suspension front and rear.
Yeah.
And at the time, you had like the Civic Si had like 123 horsepower or something like that. The Corolla was just switching to front wheel drive.
Yeah.
Which is kind of why Nissan was like, we better build a really good front wheel drive car.
Right.
Because the Corolla's kind of coming into our territory. And that car came with no horsepower.
Yeah.
The Corolla didn't.
Yeah,
so this was like this random anomaly in the early 90s.
Yeah.
That kind of kicked ass.
Out of nowhere.
Then the next generation, they switched to torsion beam. Which
the rear beam.
But it kind of came out of nowhere.
Yeah.
And it does a really good job.
Yeah, it does its work. I mean, I built it to put in work. Like, I didn't build it to like baby it.
Yeah,
I mean, it's purpose built. I mean, I know everybody always tells me you could do 300 horsepower, 400. Well, I have friends that have 500-600 horsepower versions, but for what this does, it suits its job.
Yeah. 500 horsepower Sentra. I'm
sure it's fun.
I don't know, man. That's like bolting skis at the bottom of a bar stool. Like, this is just like That's just very short for the amount of power.
Yeah.
Like, you know, wheelbase kind of creates stability at
Yeah,
speed.
yeah.
And now it's just...
I had a buddy of mine tell me this was like the gentleman's racer of a Sentra because it's not too low, it's not over horsepowered. It's
that's a good way to put it.
Yeah, it's all suspensioned out and stuff like that.
Well, it's a really clean. I mean, the outside, your paint looks amazing.
Thank you.
The exterior is really clean. It's very simple looking.
Yeah.
You just see a hint of what it can do because it's got the tire and the wheel.
Yeah.
And it has ground clearance. It has like an inch of height between the tire and the wheel well, which some of you might say doesn't look super awesome, bro.
It's not hella flush. Yeah.
It's not hella flush. It's not even like medium flush. But is that what, I don't know what half a hella is. But you can drive it around town and not worry about it. All right.
Yeah.
We're going to take it for a spin. The drive, we're going to keep talking while we do.
Sure.
Wow, that is an incredibly light clutch.
Yeah, that's a Jim Wolf pressure plate on OEM 2.0 SE disc. The last disc lasted me 7 years, so on that same pressure plate. So I figured I'd buy it again, and it was a good combo. So
this is 5-speed, right?
5-speed, yeah.
Where's the reverse hold? Just so I don't find it.
Over and down.
Good. Okay, making sure I don't find it. Nice. That's very accurate feeling. Little Alcantara.
Yeah.
This is like a lightly fancy car.
Yeah, kind of. I figured I'd do a little bit of fanciness in there, thanks to my buddy at Suede It.
It's like forgetting to plug in your headphones and you're like, I don't hear anything out of the stereo.
Yeah.
And then okay. Yeah. That is a very distinct difference in volume. All right, we're going downhill first, obviously, so I'm not going to be too deep in the throttle. First impressions, ergonomics are interesting. I assume this is not an extending wheel.
No.
So the wheel's a little bit far away from me.
Right.
My seat and pedal placement feels great. There's a little bit of reach, but that's okay. This is hydraulic power steering, of course. This is way before they invented electric.
Right.
The only thing electric in here is like the lights.
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
It's nice and compliant. I mean, you know, it bounces over this is a pretty distressed road. Jeez. I'm not anywhere near the limits of grip, and there's a lot of it. There's a lot of it.
Yeah, you're leaving a lot on the table.
That's fine. You know what? That's fine. We just met, Juan. We just met. I want to be your friend. Why is that so entertaining? All right, so it comes on cam at 6, and what, redline's like 7,500?
So 5,600 RPM is the activation point.
Okay.
Redline is 82.
Redline's 82?
Yeah.
Wow, and the TAC has a red line at
9.
75, so it goes to 82.
Yeah.
All right, we're getting a little rub over those bumps. Those are pretty big bumps, but this is like also a track car for you, is it not?
Yeah, it's a track car. That's what I built it to be. I just went a little overboard on building it. So,
what a sound! What a weird little angry sound. I didn't used to like 4-cylinder, but now I'm a fan.
Well, the cool thing is all the seals are brand new, so
This car looks brand new, which they made these in Mexico till 2017.
Yeah, and then like the crash ratings were so poor that they were like, yeah, I think we need to stop.
Well, I mean, I learned this from Donut Media, so shout out Donut Media. It was the most popular car in Mexico until like 2007.
Yeah.
And then in 2017, they had to stop making it because Mexico finally mandated that cars had to have ABS and I think airbags.
Oh, nice.
Like, it was like, that was 2 years ago. Like, we have cars that drive themselves.
At this point, yeah.
I mean, they have them down there too, but at the same time, you're making a car that still didn't have airbags. All right, shifter feels great. The throws are not too close together where I can't find them. I like being able to find them, but they're short this way, so you get in there really quickly. I'm gonna turn around so this cyclist's gonna have his day.
Crazy thing is that is a stock shifter that I modified to maybe a shorter shifter.
Really?
Yeah, so that's all OEM parts right there.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's impressive. How did you modify that?
Well, pretty much all you really have to do is put the shifter on a vise and then just move that neural ball basically up to the point where it curves.
Right.
And then the fulcrum ball.
That's like the pivot point, yeah.
You move the fulcrum ball up, and at that pivot point, you pretty much have a short shifter. If you ever compare it to another front-wheel drive SR20 short shifter, it's exactly at that same point.
Oh,
so,
gotcha.
Free mod.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Free mods are the best mods.
Yeah.
right. On the way down, I noticed that like it darts around a little bit, but it's like what's your alignment setting? Pretty aggressive.
2.7 degrees of camber in the front, and then 2.2 in the rear.
Okay. Yeah. Right, because this is your track car. You drive on the road sometimes. Yeah. Oh, we're gonna have a lot of traffic on the way up. Darn it. The 90s interiors, man. Like all we knew how to make were kind of rounded squares.
Yeah, we didn't get into like jagged edges yet.
No, there were no jagged edges. It was this or really round stuff from Ford.
Yeah.
That's all that you could get.
Which I kind of like how simple it is. Like to be honest with you, like after it moved away from these rounded edges, to me, I almost feel like quality went down in a lot of things. But I don't. That's just me. I'm a fan of this whole '90s look.
Well, the more complicated something is, the more prone it is to breaking. So if you have jagged edges on the interior that are, like Cadillac has like these layers of leather that are laid over each other, for example, I'm sure that will fray over 20
time.
years versus this one plastic piece, and these very simple buttons. It's more complicated. That's why, certain German cars, my BMW, probably breaks more than, I don't know, like an IS300.
Yeah, and it's really common to see like Sentras with cracked dashes, because you remember this is still an economy car.
Yes.
So there's so many that are still very daily driven, and over the years they're all cracked. So this actually dash I stored for 11 years. So I found it, I stored it, and I figured one day I'd use it, and so yeah.
It's a weird thing. I've seen that with 240SXs too. It's like you can invest in dashboards.
Yeah, no, you can save this stuff, which is what I did. A lot of stuff I saved. I would constantly go to the dealership and just buy little things here and there, and figure one day I might rebuild the car. And
makes sense, and that's why this car looks so brand new.
Yeah. I bought everything that was available new. I bought it. So
50 years from now, you might have the equivalent of like the 68 Charger grill, which cost, I don't know, on the used market, those are like 4 figures because they're just rare and people want them. All right, we'll let those cars get ahead of us a little bit. We got some room. Yeah, as it pulls, it moves around on the road a little bit. Steering feel is pretty good. The steering is lighter than I was expecting. I actually thought it just looked like it was going to be really heavy.
Yeah.
This is so easy to carry speed through.
So all the steering we went through as well. The rack was completely rebuilt. All the bushings were replaced. Everything is pretty much brand new.
It looks brand new. It feels brand new. I don't know why that sound is so enjoyable. I don't know if I'd play it on a CD, but like when you're in the car, this thing is just this tiny little fireball of angst. Like it's so short when you walk up to it.
Yeah,
it's so little, and then
I think of it as the Japanese E30, really.
Oh,
that's front-wheel drive.
Yeah, I would agree. I had such I didn't like front-wheel drive cars when I was a youth because I was like, no, burnouts are awesome.
Yeah.
Burnouts are awesome for 5 seconds, once or twice a week, maybe.
Until you realize how expensive it is to replace tires.
Unless you have really shitty tires. But this is much more enjoyable than the dumb driving I did in my Pontiac as a kid. This thing hustles, dude.
Yeah, it'll move.
Feels great. This road, you can see our heads bobbing up and down, and if you folks could look at this road,
it's a bumpy road.
Yeah, it looks like someone just took a Sharpie and went like this along the whole road. It's got these like
these little indentations.
Yeah, little indentations like rivulets in it. So it's bouncing over those, but I'm sure on a smooth road or a smooth track.
Yeah,
this is amazing.
The suspension, I actually stiffened it up for you just to reduce like wheel rub, but
we got a little wheel rub right now under cornering, but
yeah, and that's just again due to me running wheel liner and trying to keep everything. Like it's like the car's a little contradictive because it's a track car, but I put wheel liner on it.
It's a track car,
but I get full interior on it. So
speed. Okay, we're getting on the gas in third. You don't feel the shove. We're at altitude. That's also part of it. Yeah. But I definitely don't feel a shove in the back. The way you might with like a new turbo car, even one with the same like 140 horsepower out of like a new 1.5 liter. But as you said earlier, it's a momentum car.
Yeah, it's all about carrying the speed through corners as much as possible. Like the thing I like about the car is it doesn't hide your indeficiencies as a driver.
Yeah.
So it's all driver, and that's what I enjoy. Like I see a lot of people who step from a 500 horsepower, 400 horsepower car to a 200 horsepower, and then you realize how much they relied on power through corners and catching speed into corners and getting out of them. This really doesn't hide your inefficiencies at all.
It doesn't. I'm sure you're, noticing plenty of mine. And I really wish,
you're fine, man.
I'm sorry, everybody, that this road is crowded.
Yeah, it's a busy day this morning. It was not busy for like 30 minutes, and then all of a sudden, right?
Well, and like right now, busy is 6 people, but they all showed up at the same time. Gas pedal is perfect. It's got a nice throw to it. It's got good weight. I didn't dip into the brakes very much because it can carry so much speed.
Right.
There's a little bit of softness at the top. The pedal was like the clutch was like the lightest thing in the world.
Yeah, I love it.
Let's just go up for like 2 more turns.
Sure. And then the thing is too, like a lot of people will over clutch their cars. So you'll have like what they call a stage 2, 3, or 4, and the car makes 200 horsepower. And then it's like you have one buff left leg. Like you did leg day on your left leg, and that's as far as you went,
Yeah.
So.
And you're like, well, one day I'm going to put an LS in it.
Yeah.
Why do you need that power?
And that's what people usually do. They'll plan for future power that never happens.
Yep.
So that's...
Which, on the other hand, there are people that put in a lot of power and didn't plan for it.
Yeah, that's true.
And they're like, well, I'm thinking of putting the 4th brake caliper on soon. That's the other side of it. So you got to, everything in balance, people.
Yeah.
Oh, man. This must just be, what's your favorite track to drive in this car?
Well, I've been doing Streets of Willow quite a bit. I've done Button Willow a couple times. The track I really want to go to next year is Chuckwalla, and then my dream track to go to would be, without getting black flagged, would be Laguna Seca.
Without getting black flagged?
Yeah.
For noise.
Yeah, for noise. But I mean, I can always close the muffler.
Yeah, this has an electronic muffler. Open and close it. Was it open or closed now?
It's closed now.
Oh, that's good. That's very good.
So that's all engine noise now.
All right, we're gonna try to get a little bit of fun on the way down. Chuckwalla, this would be a third. You'd be carrying so much speed. That's a real momentum track.
I've heard it's a
fast
fantastic track.
It's a great track. Surface is really good. Wow, with the muffler closed, that's 8,000 RPM.
Yeah.
I mean, we're talking loud, but we can still talk.
Yeah, it's livable.
Bump, bump, bump. You can see, I mean, it's a stiff car, but...
Yeah. Well, it's on Fortunato 510s. The only set of Fortunato 510s that were custom made for me.
The brakes do a good job. They're a little like soft at the top of the stroke. The bite's not like... But,
yeah.
Which is almost out of character compared to like how the car feels and like the suspension and everything.
Think you'd be like right on the brake?
Yeah, kind of.
Well, I'm actually upgrading the brakes to a new StopTech kit that was made by Fast Brakes. So this is like their old Willwood kit with G-Lock pads, which has done fantastic, but I think it's time for a brake upgrade for sure, to something a little more serious. I think I've outgrown the Willwoods.
I can understand.
Yeah.
I mean, this thing must just carry amazing speed.
Yeah, it carries speed really well.
Corners.
Yeah, it carries speed really well. I think I'm not even at the limit of it. Before I rebuilt it, I knew the limit, and then I put bracing in it. I put fender braces, roll cage in it, and then I have a full bucket seat that I race with, and now it's a completely different thing. Like I haven't learned the limit of it yet. So I'm planning on doing the sub 130 at Streets of Willow next month. So that'll be my personal best. And
I could feel like a little bit of like slip in second when I was coming out of the corners, like just a tiny bit of it. But at Willow, especially Big Willow, you're probably third, fourth gear the whole time anyway.
Pretty much. Yeah.
Why did the Civic? And we'll kind of close on this. I know it's been a long one. Why did the Civic get all the attention? Because this when it came out was on the like numbers wise better.
I have to say that the Civic follows a more appealing vehicle. At the time, it was sharper. I mean, this is all round. It just looks like the E model with a wing. And even like they had models, the SE model that had the wing anyway. It just looks like an E model with a couple things. Oh, and it's an SR20. And when people went to the dealerships, they wanted something a little more special.
Yeah.
So I think that's why people went for the Civic. And then the Civic was more massively produced than this. So it was way more readily available. And really at that point, even still, like Nissan was more of a performance brand in Japan than it was here in the US. In the US, it was like an econo brand.
Right.
The Honda still had like their SI. And they had the Preludes and things like that. So.
And Nissan only had this one for a while. And
this was 91 through 94 with the NX 2000, which is a little odd shaped egg looking thing. And that was it. They didn't even call it a Sentra SE-R after this. They called it a 200SX SE-R. And then they just kind of left the SE-R branding and went to the rear beam.
It definitely got worse looking. Like I think as the generations went forward, for the generation after this, and I think the one after that was like, I just wasn't a fan of what was happening there. But a lot of the '90s cars were pretty ugly. Yeah. And then they got a little better. But in that time, I think Honda, it's almost like Legos. Like they were so many models, but they were so modular. They had that advantage. You knew you could take an Accord engine and bolt it into the Civic.
They quickly got into modifications, and even for front wheel drive like swaps here, I didn't hear about an SR20 VE until like 2005, 6, and the motor had been out in Japan for years.
And you can't put like a VQ in this, right? Like it won't fit.
You could.
You could, but not easily, right?
Yeah, you could. You can fit it. There's a couple guys that run it, but I think I'm a purist at heart with the thing, so it came with an SR20. It has to have an SR20 in it for me. But a VQ thing, I think it would just throw the weight off. I don't think it would.
No, I was just thinking like, Honda had all these things you could do.
Yeah, you could do
this. And this car at the time was like a great driver's car.
Yeah.
Kind of, but it almost suffered from the same thing the G20 did. It wasn't special enough to attract people away from BMW or away from Honda.
For the pricing especially. Yeah, and then you think about it too, at the time, even if it was on the top 10 car and driver cars every year, it was in the top 10, it's still, nobody really cared. You know, all the other 9 on top of it were probably way more popular.
I know exactly how that works. It's like the people that write the magazines, which I'm friends with some of them now, like, they love driving. So they're like, this is the driving gem that costs very little money for how much fun it is. You know, it's like the Fiesta ST, and the other cars from it's just 30 years sooner. But when you're doing like overall driver's car or overall car of the year, you just can't give it to something that's like this.
And the crazy thing about this is I have people tell me all the time, you need to stop making your videos or your posting because you're driving up prices. But here's the funny thing about that. The prices will go up on this, but people will still not be willing to pay that kind of pricing. Everybody you're still looking for the $1,000 Sentra, and if you're out there, you have a clean Sentra, that's $1,000. Hit me up. But it's just one of those things where really that's the market. It is what it is. The Honda will still be the superior car. That's why when we go road racing, 30 Hondas and just
30
me.
Civics and just you.
Yeah,
that's
just
cool,
me.
man.
Yeah.
Well, thank you.
No, thank you for having me.
I'm 12 years old.
No, that's cool.
Thank you very much for bringing this up, man. It was really cool. After the G20, I was really excited to see like where did the genetic material of that car come from. And this did not disappoint. This is
I'm glad you enjoyed it.
And if you were like me when I was 17 and you think front wheel drive cars are boring and not as cool, there's a lot of car out there. And you can learn a lot about driving, and it's usually less expensive and less dangerous than like if you're a young person jumping into a Camaro or
I think we can appreciate that now that we're
we can
25.
Yeah, we're both 25. That's the age we are.
I started graying at 12. It's all good.
All right. Thank you guys for watching. Again, if you want to send me your modified car, send me your Wheel Well Garage, and if you guys haven't checked it out, please go look at it. We're gonna put the link in the description of this video. You can look at his page, and if you're buying parts, type them in. They have just about everything, and if they don't have it, they can add it to their warehouse, because they have warehouses, they have customer service. And again, type in code TST and you get 15% off, which is significant. I think that's pretty good.
Yeah, that's especially on some parts. 15% will do you in.
Man, 15% off of like. I don't know, just do math, people. You should know how to do this stuff.
15% off 1,000, that's 150 bucks. Yeah.
Now we just sound like wheeler dealers. Now we're like, 15% off 1,000 is $150. That's a great deal. Tell me about this cutting board.
That's right.
All right. With that, we're gonna end. Thank you guys for watching.
I would have given you English accent, but it probably would have been Australian anyway. So
do that all day. All right. See you guys later.